Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, we are live with Sakra World Hospital, Bangalore. We have with us the expert, Dr. Bevin D Silva, to discuss about do's and don'ts for safe and colourful Diwali. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Have anything to say?
Well, I just hope this Diwali is going to be a very safe one for everybody, and I hope that whatever I have to say will help you, enjoy the celebration significantly better. And with that, let's see what we can have a chat about. Yeah,
Doctor, here are a few questions from our viewers.
Okay.
Can we go ahead?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How can you celebrate Diwali safely?
Good question. Yes. As you know, Diwali is a festival of lights, so there's a lot of, the emphasis from just lighting a lamp has switched over towards crackers and shift over to multiple other different things. So when you start talking about safety from a medical point of view, definitely you will have some safety issues. And one thing is the presence of crackers, the presence of open flames, and the presence of there are sweets and other things also which can cause some issues with certain people. Definitely we have to think about that. And with all this keeping in mind, one thing I would say is celebrate Diwali. Definitely have all the fun that you can have.
Yes.
But just take a few precautions, okay? And the precautions that you would need to take is just to make sure that you when you're doing something, like for example bursting a cracker or you're lighting a flame, or you're around a situation where there are lots of diyas and things like that, like what you wear and how you behave. I mean, the behave may not be the right word, but I'm saying like how you conduct yourself during that particular when those activities are happening is what is very important. So sufficient distance, okay, and awareness that there is something dangerous at that point, something beautiful, but at the same time, something which is a little dangerous. So at that point, it may help us to understand that the proper distance that is maintained, and the way we watch our clothes, and the way we conduct ourselves during the bursting of a cracker, and how adult supervision is required for kids. All these things will have a definite value in this. I'm sure we'll discuss this as the course of the conversation goes on specifically.
In that case, what are the do's and don'ts for Diwali, if you can say?
Right. Number one, let's categorize this into, let us say, first, let's talk about crackers, since that seems to be a definite issue that we would need to talk about. There are crackers, you can broadly classify them into like the ones which make a lot of noise and explosions, and then the other ones which will leave out flames in a colorful manner, right? Both have their problems. Explosions, I think that goes without being said, that if suppose something is exploding, you definitely don't want to be too clear. At this particular time, what you want to do is, first of all, holding an explosive cracker in your hand and being a hero about it, and like lighting it and throwing it out and things like that, it can just prematurely burst in your hand, which can result in significant hand trauma. And remember that your hand is extremely important for all kinds of dexterous activities that you do. So I think preserving your hands during that time is significantly important. Being very close to an explosive cracker could result in some definite explosion-related trauma, which is like a quick shockwave which will come, which will definitely have gases at very high temperature, which can burn, singe, crack the skin, sometimes even go to the depths of imprinting and leaving objects like unburnt gunpowder and everything else, including other matter, which will be embedded into your skin. That is one major issue when it comes to an explosive. Next comes the part about hearing, when you're bursting a very loud cracker. So if you're doing things without hearing protection, you could definitely hear it. You might have noticed that a cracker bursts in a very close proximity to you. You might have that singing and you hear that nee kind of a sound. And what happens with that sound is it is basically telling you that sound was too loud and your ears are really struggling to adjust to that. So that is a definite thing that we need to keep in mind. Next, when it comes to the things which actually just fire out in like for example, flower pot, right? So these things you have to be careful, because the thing is, once you light it and you come away from it, you make sure that you have a sufficient distance from it. Otherwise, what happens is the bits which fall down, they could easily catch on to like a sari or any kind of a dupatta or those kind of clothing. It can just catch fire and it can see. And presence of any kind of, when these kind of devices are there, if suppose there is anything combustible very close, that could result in a secondary set of flames which will go into and can harm a lot more people. So those are a few things that you need to have. Broadly classified into looking at burns related issues, explosive related issues, and hearing related issues, which are again connected with the explosion.
Okay.
Definitely.
So what is this eco-friendly Diwali?
Eco-friendly Diwali. Yeah, I mean, which I'm a big supporter of. Let me just say, is that one thing is, we have to understand that the noise that the crackers make, especially once you may light a rocket and forget about it, it will go up in the sky and it will burst and it will create a wonderful shower of color, and it will look wonderful. But think about the other things in the environment. Think about the birds. Think about the dogs. Think about all the animals which are around you. And think about all the other people, including some elderly who might be there, or there might be some other children who are trying to sleep and different other things. So being very explosive is one particular. Basically, I'm trying to talk about noise pollution, which can affect different categories of species in different ways, right? And especially we have to think about our animal friends. I mean, it may be a very difficult time for them. One, so noise pollution is something that I would like to emphasize. Second, I would like to talk about mass fires, which is like, you may end up using a thing like, for example, you have these parachutes, I mean, which would go up in the sky and then come down with, like, saying, if suppose a flaming device does come down and it doesn't get exhausted within that time and it lands on the ground and it causes a flame, then that is a problem, and you could definitely have a lot of this. It's more of a community related thing that I'm a little concerned about, definitely one. Next comes the part about just the pollution that the cracker itself causes, right? On a given day, I don't know the exact statistical figures, but however, I will tell you, on a given day on Diwali, you could definitely see that the air would change. There would be that smell of smoke in the air. There would be the smell of unburned gunpowder in the air. So that is significantly which is there in their city. And in a city like ours, which is prone to smog, there's a good chance, because the season is going towards smog. The precipitation might change towards smog in a few days. And all that, what has gone into the atmosphere, will start to settle down. That is when we will start getting things like, you end up getting a lot of cases which are related to respiratory illnesses. We end up seeing them quite a lot. And especially in a city like Bangalore, we tend to see it in winter more. But at the same time, with Diwali and the amount of unburned gunpowder and the amount of smoke in the air, the smog in the air, you would end up with a few more respiratory problems. We're a little fortunate that there is a little rain around the place. Maybe that might settle down a little bit of the pollution. I can't tell you, I'm not an expert in that particular matter.
Would you mind sharing few tips on burnt management at home?
Good point. Well, first of all, burns is heat, right? So it's a heat trauma that is being caused onto your skin or any body surface. So first thing is, you want to remove the heat to remove the amount of trauma. Now you might think about adding different things. So the menu is extensive, starting from ghee to honey. So we as Indians like to make everything savory. So obviously, so we would like, so there's a whole bunch of things that are being talked about, but I'll simply say water is your best friend, right? So nice cool water which is coming out of a tap is what you need, just to take the temperature out of the burn. That will significantly reduce the pain of the burn itself. It will significantly reduce the inflammation that will be caused locally, and might actually reduce the extent of the burn. Because what's going to happen is, your skin would be singed, but below that, your dermis and the epidermis, followed by dermis, and then the muscular tissue and fascia and everything else. Before all the temperature starts to carry towards that, if you remove the temperature out, that will significantly reduce the injury which is caused by the burn. So that is one thing that I would like to tell you. Next comes the part about, getting any other first aid management at home. If it is a minor burn, let us say a first degree burn, which is very, very simple, that is just very superficial, you may get away with, like, applying certain ointments or certain things just to soothe that area. Definitely, yes, that is fine. But anything significant than just a small burn, which is like, let us say, like, not less than a percentage, if it's something small like that, if it is anything more than that, you should be coming to the hospital. And the reason you would like to do that is because one thing is, functional areas are commonly burnt in this area, no matter how small the burn. Even if it's a coin-sized burn, it might make a difference in your hand. You might be non-functional, or it may land up that your hand might burn in such a way and might cause, like, the tissue while healing might actually cause a contracture and you will not be able to use that hand again. So seeing somebody early, especially like, with this department of plastic surgery, or seeing us in the emergency, and then we will take care of the rest. So that would definitely be something that in case of an injury, in case of an incident of burn, just make sure that you don't prolong it and just like take it easy and stay at home. So that's one thing. So first of all, I would like to say water is your best friend. Meanwhile, make your arrangements to get to the place, looking at the size of the burn.
So in that case, how quickly should burn be treated to recover, or how quickly they reach our emergency zone?
See, in these situations, they do reach quickly because burn is a very painful situation.
Yes.
And naturally, when there's that much of pain after doing the water, we find that the crowd is educated these days, and they are looking after these things. I mean, like the minute they get a burn, they would have taken some precautions and they would have come to the hospital. So the faster they reach, the better for us, because we'll be able to. One thing is, like, the skin cover that is gone
Right.
should be replaced as soon as possible. And when you say replace, you're not replacing it with authentic skin, but what you're replacing it with either collagen, or you're replacing it with a dressing or something like that. So you make sure that something soothing, something which has got like a good, what would be the appropriate word? Something which is like, an ointment sort of a base, which is going to be soft and which is not going to allow the bandage or anything to stick to the skin and not damage the skin further. So that is something that we would like to apply very early, all right? And then we have the plastic surgeons, of course.
Yes.
And so they will come and help us out with things like collagen and things like that. It really makes a difference.
Mm.
So when you say collagen, you're just looking at a simple surface sheet which will be on top of the wound, which would help behave like an artificial skin. Okay.
Mm.
So as to, like, because what is the skin's function is? Function is basically as a barrier against environmental insults to our body. So it also helps us understand the feeling is when you have a small little avulsion of the skin, when skin is going, you have that burning pain, right? That burning pain comes because your nerve endings are suddenly exposed. So that becomes extremely painful. So getting it covered is very important. And later, we have to facilitate the regeneration of that skin. So the faster we deal with it, the lesser the damage that we have to deal with, much better outcome.
Any tips on celebrating Diwali in this particular pandemic situation?
Well, social distancing, obviously. So that is one thing I would like to say. Wear mask for both purposes. One, to make sure that, like, you are not coughing and somebody's cough is not really reaching you. And second thing is, you can also prevent inhaling some of the particulate matter that might be exposed during the
Yes.
during the bursting of the crackers. That's definitely an advantage. So wear masks and make sure that you have this thing, or what is it called? Good social distancing maintained. Washing hands, obviously you'll have a lot of water around, and you should have some water
Yes.
around. So I think that would be something that I would like to say. Jokes apart, be very careful while using alcoholic sanitizers while you're doing these kind of things. Just please don't allow them to be in the proximity of crackers, because should they burst and the fire spill out, you don't want to have a bigger fire. So I would like to just be cautious, because I'm sure a lot of people will think about that. Let's keep a sanitizer for everybody who's visiting to burst crackers to our house, for example.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
That's something looks like a realistic possibility to me this time at least.
Yes.
So I think what could be done is just make sure that that is a sufficient distance away from anything combustible, because alcohol, as you know, is supremely combustible, and it will create a bigger...
Accidental fire can be avoided.
Yeah, accidental fire, and you'll be propagating the fire by having some alcohol
Yes.
around.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So that's something which I would like to say.
How to dress for Diwali? That's an important question here.
Very beautifully. I think that would be the best thing to do.
Yes.
But then, however, so let me just tell you, the choice of materials, very, very important.
Yes.
Cotton,
Yeah.
extremely good. Something which is a little closer fitting to your body, but not so close that it is actually going to stifle your body. So should it get burnt, to remove it becomes easy. Okay. So you're saying that you don't want to, when I say close to the bodies, I don't want something, I wouldn't say like something like a sari, like for example, a silk or a nylon sari. Is probably the worst choice, because the thing is, you'd have a pallu or something like that which will be just there.
Yes.
And you may not be bursting crackers at the same time. I'm just telling you, the number of people who get injured during puja are quite a lot. People are careful while they're bursting crackers, but a lot of people who are just doing diya and puja and aarti, which they're going to do, they would have like diyas on the floor, and they would be, while they're doing the aarti somewhere, so that pallu shouldn't catch fire on one open flame somewhere. So preferably that sari or that particular dupatta, that particular salwar should be ideally, like if it's cotton, it's a lot better, and it should not be so tight fitting that you can't take it off in the event of a fire. Okay, one. I would definitely discourage materials like nylon or silk, any kind of material which is just going to combust and it's going to stick to the skin, because that's going to increase the injury. It may not be a massive burn, but it's going to increase the injury significantly. Cotton that way is good, because when it burns, where it ends, it stays, so it doesn't really stick. So that's an advantage. Denim would be a very good choice for kids and other adults who are like, who prefer to watch to wear denim and be like, bursting crackers. I would really say that is a good thing, because even it is a thick material, even minor particle showers which has come during an explosion can be, prevented. Definitely that injury also can be prevented, and it's not going to burn that easy. It takes a little bit of effort to burn that, unless you soak it in, alcohol or petrol or something like that. So it doesn't burn just like that. It does burn, of course, but it'll help you prevent injury to a large extent. I would suggest denim pants. I would suggest a comfortable t-shirt which you can tear apart, or something like slightly moderately loose cotton shirt, or things like that. That would be definitely preferable. I wouldn't suggest like a very loose lungi or a dhoti or a sari or a salwar or something, especially while bursting crackers. And ladies, extremely careful. Be extremely careful when you're handling the diyas. They're open flames, and your clothes would definitely, if they do catch fire, that would definitely cause you, the chances of a burn are extremely high.
Would you mind sharing a few tips for infants, especially? They are very important, and for elders too.
Yeah, infancy, again, I would reconnect this issue back to the noise pollution issue. Right? When it comes to infants, and especially early in life, they also are susceptible to things which are environmental pollutants and things like that. One, noise, definitely. So that kids would need to sleep. If it's an infant, then you would have like a second hourly or a fourth hourly feed for the child, and the child would be sleeping for majority of the time of the day. At least I would say 16 to 18 hours a day. A newborn child would sleep for a long time. So that sleep being constantly disturbed is probably not good. It's definitely not good. The child becomes restless, and then afterwards there would be like a constant cry, and so that becomes a difficulty in the situation. So that is one thing from a noise pollution point of view. Definitely, it's an issue. The second thing I would like to say is yes, eventually the respiratory issue will catch up, because the environment is now polluted significantly, and then the little kids also will have to deal with the same thing that the adults would have to. It'll just strike them a little early. So yeah, again, emphasis on a connection between this. We need to think of a eco-friendly Diwali, especially for the coming generation, and what we're dropping into our wonderful environment.
Thank you, Doctor. It was very informative.
Thank you very much.
And with this, we come to the end of today's live show. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining. And advance Happy Diwali to everyone.
Happy Diwali to everybody. Celebrate safe.
Yes.
And have a great Diwali.
Stay safe.